Hello, welcome everyone to FMC. I am Jeremy. This is SV3, non-wrestling talk, NBA talk, just a Friday get together where we can relax, kick our feet up. Let me kick. There we go. Kick
There
my
you
feet up
go.
there.
Kick those feet up.
Fall over in this chair.
You're
How you
playing
doing,
a dangerous
buddy?
game.
Yeah, really. Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm on vacation. I'm out of my house. That's why the setup is a little bit different in the background. And you might hear my daughter come in and out of the rooms because she knows how to open the doors at this place. But yeah, it's been a good week. I've been taking time off from at least half of my 100 podcasts that I do. But I'm glad to be here on a Friday with you, sir.
Vacation. What is that? I don't know what that is.
It just meant getting out of New York. I
Fair.
didn't stop writing. I didn't stop doing podcasts. I didn't do my late podcast because there's other kids here, so that would have been very inconvenient for them when they're trying to sleep. But all my early podcasts I've been still on. So
I was telling you, like, I have not had a day off in like 2 weeks now. I finally, hopefully tomorrow, I'll probably still end up doing something because I just can't help myself a lot of
yeah.
times. I was like, oh, I'm just so excited to do no work. And of course, by doing no work, there's still 4 kids running around. So it's like you don't really get a break from this stuff. People are like, hey, you're not really working. It's like, yeah, but when you have kids, like you are always working. So like you get it.
Exactly.
You get it. Like it ain't like you're just like taking naps and relaxing and watching what you want to watch and stuff. It's like there's still kids running around. You might not be pecking away at a keyboard, but you're still working in some capacity.
Yeah, I didn't write or do podcasts on Sunday, but I was traveling with two-year-olds and my wife who was getting like stressed with them and getting them situated. Then when we got there, so yeah, I totally understand you. Like we never have a day off. Like
Yeah,
it's either
exactly.
it's either what the people see from us in wrestling media and or it's what we do at home.
Yes. Yeah. We went to the park last Saturday and like it's like, oh, that's time away from work. 4 kids running around the park. They all want piggyback rides. They all want to race. There's like a little track. They all want to
Yep.
race and stuff. We still have snow mountains, so we're climbing up on that. So like chasing around 4 kids, you're still working. EP, like she put her time in with the kids. She's like, nope, your stepdad. You go play with them. I've put my time in. Like I did all that stuff. You have fun. You got more energy. Like I was like, oh, thanks, baby, appreciate that. She just sits on the bench, chills, drinks her water and stuff. She's like, you have fun with all of that. I've done my duty. I was like, I mean, understandable. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Say Pile Driver says I'm only an uncle, but kids are a handful.
Mm.
They are. They are, man.
I,
Bless
I was
them.
I was an uncle for 30 years, for pretty much 30 years of my life because my oldest nephew was born when I was like 4 or 5. So I've been an uncle pretty much my whole entire life. So I definitely understand where you're coming from there. It was a lot when I was just an uncle, and then it was like you weren't even prepared being an uncle for what it is
Uncle, no,
being a
because
father.
uncle, you can give them back. Just
Exactly.
like you got them for a little while, but then like you may only have them for like a couple hours or something, and then they go away. And they're when your uncle, like they're fun, right? Like they
Yeah.
just want to hang out and have fun and play games and stuff. When you are a parent, whether it's a parent or a step parent, you're around them all the time, and you see the bad stuff, and you get into the arguments or
Yeah.
the talking back and everything. And then like you really got to deal with everything. And that's when it becomes like, oh yeah, this is not just hanging out and having fun and playing games for an hour or two. This is 24/7. This is your life of parenting.
Exactly. Like when you're an uncle, you want to be the cool adult.
Yeah.
When you're a parent, you can't be the cool adult. You
Yeah.
can't, no matter how much things that the kids like that you like. So they're gonna think you're cool. It doesn't matter. You kind of have to have that line where you kind of are strict to them at the same time. Like I'm like the source of if my daughter or son, really not my son is just very chill. Like he just wants to he's like, I don't know what my sister is doing, but hey, she can run around the house. I'm just gonna sit here with my Thomas the Train, and my parents are not gonna bother me because they're too wrapped up with her BS. But yeah, my daughter will ask me to give her the piggyback rides, to pick her. Now she likes me to bring her up in a power bomb position and then flip her back down on
Oh.
her feet. She loves that. Like she'll tell me, I put her back on her feet. She'll go again, 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 again. So it's just like, yeah, I'm that, as well as when she's acting up, I'm the one that has to be like the deep voice, like, chill out, sit down. And then I give her, I have like 2 phones. I have an international phone, so I keep track of my UK times, because
Yeah,
working
that's
with
what it's
Russell,
for.
right?
That's what it's for. We know what 2 phones means, SP3. We know what 2 phones means.
No,
Come on now.
I'm not working in street pharmacies. I have friends for that. But
when I say shout out to everybody grinding legally and illegally every single morning, you fit both of those descriptions.
shouts
SP3.
out to Goldie Loke, my former roommate. Yes, yes. I know of people at both shirts, and that's why I love your morning tweets of who's ever grinding illegally and legally. Yes.
My friends, it's just become a stupid thing that I do. Everybody tweets, not everybody, but like people will tweet like rise and grind every morning.
Yes.
People just have like the morning tweets of whether it's like motivations or just like positivity or whatever. And I always thought it was so dumb, but then I just tweeted it one day. I was like, I'm just gonna do this every single morning.
I
EP
love it.
hates it. She hates it. She's like, I'm pretty sure you do it just to annoy me at this point. I was like, yeah, got it. And my best friend just texted me. He's like, what is up with this? Why do you do this? And I'm just like, well, it started as like, here's the reference, the Lupe Fiasco reference.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is. He's like, it's so dumb. I love it. And like, I've worked myself into a shoot with it. Cause like he's like 6 hours ahead. So he's like, I see it. And I'm like halfway through my workday. He's like, I don't want to grind. I want to break. I'm tired of work. Like, knock it off. Quit telling me to keep grinding. And he's like, I worked myself into a shoot with this because I hate it. So like, it's to now piss off my closest friends. And it's also, I do think it's not weird, but like, I don't like the, hey, rise and grind kind of stuff. I was like, all right, cool. I get it. But like, I'm exhausted by 7 o'clock every morning anyway. But like, there are people out there, like I get responses and the tweet gets likes and stuff like, yeah, keep getting after it. Like people enjoy that positivity stuff. And I try to be positive and stuff on social media. I have my bad days and whatnot, but yeah, it might help somebody. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even if Jeremy is having a rough day or it's very early and then he's out working, like, he is grinding. He's giving a shout out. He sees, he appreciates the hard work and stuff. So if it helps one person, it accomplishes something. No, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. And if people get agitated, whatever, just honestly, just mute the entire phrase and you'll never see it pop up on your timeline because it's word for word, the same phrase every single day. Just mute the whole phrase if you get sick of it.
I love it. I'm not going to mute it. I'm actually making you one of my like top Twitter accounts. So I see it every day. It motivates me. It motivates me to text my friends who are grinding illegally. Like, I hope you keep grinding. Hope you don't get caught. Stay in that building.
I mean, whether you're grinding legally or illegally, you're out there doing something. And
Exactly.
like you said, just don't get caught. That's all. Don't get caught, man. If you're gonna grind illegally, just keep being able to grind illegally and not grind behind bars. And if you're grinding behind bars, then hope it's working out well for you. I've seen what was the show? Like 90 days in, 60 days in. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like I watched that one, and that show is a trip. But I've seen different shows. I've seen a couple episodes of Oz, and I've seen Orange is the New Black. Like there's prison shows and whatnot out there, but it seems like it's a rough life in some of these jails. So I don't envy those people as far as, I mean, look, you landed there for a reason, but it seems like I could never do it. I just
no. And I was scarred at a young age because I discovered Oz when I was like 6 years old.
Oh no.
Oh man. And
no.
I actively like watched it behind my parents' back. And I was just like, it was part like fascinating, like, okay, this is what goes on in prison, and part like I was scaring myself straight to never do anything
Yeah.
that would get me even remotely like jail, prison. I don't want to see any of this by watching Oz at 6 years old. So thank you, HBO. You helped a young SP3 stay on the straight and narrow by showing me what it was like to be in prison.
I got through like the first few episodes of Oz, and it was good. It was just one of those things that sort of fell by the wayside for me. And maybe I'll pick it. I'll pick it back up. But it seems like a great show. People really enjoy this show, and it seems good. And I like a lot of people in the show. But yeah, it just kind of fell by the wayside for me. But yeah, dude, though, prison. Look, I'm not built for prison. All right, I'm just not mentally, not physically, just not built for prison. That's why I'm going to avoid it. I will continue to grind legally, not illegally.
That's why I just have my UK phone to keep track of time and for my daughter to watch Teletubbies and Maggie Show and all the other stuff she loves to watch. If I want the TV, the only way I could do that is giving her the phone and let her watch stuff. So
I love this. This is why we got to get Will and Alex on, just to dad roundtable on everything. Just have some dad chats and whatnot. As a new step parent, like I can't fully relate to you guys, but I'm in that. The one of the kids, EP's gonna kill me for telling all these dad stories. This is like the one show she doesn't watch. This is the one show she doesn't watch that I do. She's like, I don't understand anything about basketball. She's like, I love you, I support you, but like I don't get anything about basketball. I'm not watching this. The wrestling stuff she'll check out. But the one of the kids is like, Jeremy's just become, he's not as fun anymore. Because when I'm first there, like I'm not like too involved. I'm just trying to hang out and be their friend and everything. But now I'm getting more involved. Now I'm like doling out punishments and stuff. And he's like, he's not as fun anymore. I was like, oh man, like I've hit that point where I'm not the, hey, I'm your friend just hanging out. I still think I'm fun, but this one in particular is just like, no, just he's too much. He's punishing me for things that I do. He's keeping an eye on me and everything. He's a little rebel. He wants to do whatever he wants. He thinks he's always right and everything. So I've hit that point where he realizes I have power and authority and am in charge, and I'm not just here to play video games and wrestle them and all of that kind of stuff. I'm in it for a longer term than that. So yeah, he doesn't, I don't think he cares for me as much anymore.
This is a crucial point though, because I had a stepfather as well, and it was cool for a while, like that trial period where they're just trying to be your friend, just trying to get you, build that connection with you, and then when they have to like start, punishing, that's the big point, because then they're gonna, when you start punishing them. I remember myself as a kid looking at my stepdad. I started crucially looking at him like, okay, you were telling me what to do, but are you doing what you need to do? And that decided like that. My teenage years, you could already know it was very difficult between me and my stepdad because of that.
Oh man.
So yeah.
I'm dreading that stuff. The other three are like, they're cool with me. They still like, I still have fun and stuff with them. And okay, he's like a little rebel and everything. He just wants to, he thinks he's always right about everything. Like no matter what, he's just gonna argue about stuff. So it's not even like a me type of thing, but it's just how he's going to be. And I'm just like, man, like I will have fun with you. I'm actually on your side. You can get away with way more with me than you can with your mom. I'll turn on your mom in a heartbeat. I don't care. Bless her. I love her, but like I'll turn on her in a heartbeat. I'm siding with the kids. I want the kids to like me. She's gonna like me. She loves me. Like I'm good with her. I want the kids to like me. So I'll be on your side. You gotta help me help you though. Like just don't always be acting like this all the time. And I will help you. If you don't make me be like this, then we can team up. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you've got to realize this. I gotta have that talk with them. It's like,
that's what I was about to say. Like you gotta have that talk. That's the key thing with being like a step parent, is that you can have the real talk. Because like a parent, just a straight up parent, there's always gonna be that wall where the parent wants to like establish that there are certain things they can't be real with you about because they're your parent. But with a step parent, there you can't have that wall, because there's no way for you to build the connection with the kid unless you just be real with them. Like, yo, like yes, I gotta punish you right now, but in a few months when you want to go to that party and your mom's saying no, I'm gonna be the one that says yeah. It's
See,
gonna be
this is
like
my whole thing. This is my whole thing. Is like he wants something, and like the EP is like, absolutely not. We're not doing this. But to me, like it pops me that he wants
exactly.
this, and I'll just get it because it just pops me. Like he wants something. He wants something off a Wish, and like the Wish stories. Like
Yes.
you get this thing, and it comes, and it's mangled, and it's all messed up, and whatnot. And like and even the EP is telling him like, no, like this is what happens. And they like looked at different like Wish stuff, like see what you actually get. And he's like, okay, but what if we just try? And if like I get it and I'm disappointed with it, or if it is mangled, then like whatever, like it's like $10 or something. And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm not spending $10 on this. Me, I'm like, it's a mystery box. Let's spend $10 and let's see if it gets mangled or whatnot. And she knows this is how I think. She knows that it's like, don't know. We're not doing this. We're absolutely not doing it. And I'm looking at him like, hey, let's like we can do this and stuff. But then he'll like talk bad to me and back talk me and stuff like, dude, like if you work with me on this, I will help you get these things. But if you're gonna be mean to me and talk back and stuff, I'm not gonna help you with this stuff. Like this is what you gotta realize. Like I'm
Yeah.
actually on your side with this stuff. I had to talk with him and tell him like, look, dude, like we can be on the same team here. Okay.
Yeah.
But you've got to come to this conclusion yourself. I can tell you this, but you got to come to this conclusion yourself.
He views you as his mom's tag team partner.
Yes,
But he
definitely
like
does.
he doesn't understand that you're kind of like a bridge now. Like you're the bridge that can help him with certain things that his mom won't understand. You're gonna be the person that is like going in the back end, what he doesn't always gonna hear or see. Is you're the person that'll be like, why not spend the $10 on Wish? Let's see what happens. I'll give you the $10. Like you're probably the one like really pushing for this even harder than he pitched it. So
Yeah.
yeah, he just has to understand that once you have the talk, I think he's a smart enough kid. He's gonna get it.
He's very smart. He's very intelligent. He's very sweet. He wants to be a rebel and he wants to just cause a little chaos and stuff at times. Oh god, nobody tell the EP about any of this stuff. She's like, why are you talking about this stuff on air?
This is the quality content that they come for FMC. They don't know if they're going to turn on 8:30 a.m. on a Friday, or we're going to be talking about the NBA. They don't know if we're going to be talking about South Park, Entourage, being a parent. It's just everything but wrestling.
Everything but wrestling. Let's get into the NBA before I get killed and I no longer have a girlfriend after this show. Like, do we have to talk about the Lakers? They just lose. Have they won since the All-Star break? That's a legitimate question.
See, I'm giving you the example there. No, we beat the Warriors. That was very surprising.
LeBron had that big game. He had like 56 or whatever.
Yeah, he had 56. We beat the Warriors, but no, other than that one, we have not won except for beating the number 2 seed in the West. Like that's the Lakers for you. We lose to the Rockets, but we can beat the Warriors. Like
that was such a bad loss to the Rockets too.
It was, and we lost to the Spurs before that. It's just like
LeBron was out for that game, so
that was more understandable. But it's just like I don't even want to talk about the Lakers anymore.
So here's I like the on-court product is what it is. They're a play-in team, okay? Yeah. Like we've exhausted the conversation of where they fit and everything. I do want to address like Westbrook's comments because I don't know if you saw him, but where he was talking about like Skip Bayless crossing the line, and then fans and stuff crossing the line where his kids are going to school and they're proud to have the last name Westbrook and stuff, and fans call him Westbrook. He's been dealing with that his entire career.
Yeah.
I know Westbrook, he gets a lot of criticism, like way more than any other player maybe outside of LeBron. Like he gets more criticism than any other player in the league. And he got it when he hasn't been good this season. He got it in his OKC days when like he was good and everything, because even though OKC was going to like the conference finals and everything, like people are like, oh, they would have won a title if it wasn't for Westbrook. Like he held the ramp back type of thing. Like he's always dealt with this criticism. And I think a lot of it has been justly because You've seen Westbrook this year. I've seen Westbrook in his prime. He's way worse this year than he's ever been. But like,
Yes.
he's always had a lot of these mistakes. He's always had the shooting efficiency issues. He was giving you a lot more offensively to make up for it back in the day compared to this season and everything. But he's always dealt with this kind of criticism. I think there have been fans that have crossed the line when it comes to Westbrook, because if you're just going to keep it basketball, I don't think it's a big deal. Every basketball player is going to deal with basketball criticism. Look, man, you're going to get Westbrook, okay? Like, it's a play on your name. I understand you value your last name and stuff, but like, shoot the ball better. I'm sorry, Russ, but like, you got to shoot the ball. LeBron gets LeChoke and LeBrick all the time. Like he gets that stuff too. Like it's just, it comes with the territory of being a basketball player. Unfortunately, like you're just going to get these credit. James Harden, we're going to talk about him in a second. He's going to get all of these choke comments and all of these out of shape comments and stuff. If it comes to basketball and you're playing poorly, you're going to get basketball criticism. Now, if it crosses the line of that and people are coming after your kids, saying things to them, saying things to your wife and any other family members, that's obviously way too much. And I know Westbrook has dealt with the fans in Utah and everything. Like, he's dealt with that kind of stuff. And that is completely 100% over the line. Don't go there with that kind of stuff. But if people are just going to keep it basketball and they're just going to boo or they're going to heckle when it comes to what they are seeing on court, I don't like being like, you just got to suck it up and take it. But it unfortunately, it comes with the territory of being in the spotlight, of being a star, of being in this sport or any other sport or really form of entertainment. Because Westbrook, he ain't the only person that deals with this kind of criticism. He gets it a lot more than a lot of other people, but every basketball player deals with it. Every football player deals with it that plays the game at this high of a level and everything. It's just, it is what it is. It comes with the territory with this stuff.
Any form of celebrity, like you're gonna have a great deal of scrutiny to you, and especially with the NBA, like I think the conversation came up this week about toxic fan bases. NBA Twitter is up there as far as like toxic fan bases. Like they automatically getting the vote of approval. I told you, you're just gonna hear that randomly.
That's fine.
You want to say hi? I think that's what she was trying to say. You want to say hi? All right, say hi. Say hi. Make an appearance. Say hi to Jeremy. Say hi to the people. Oh, now you're quiet.
And now she's shy.
Okay, all right. You're trying to turn. You're trying to go to YouTube and watch Teletubbies. But nah, yeah, like I said, like any form of celebrity, you could be an actor, an actress, a football player, a wrestler, like it doesn't matter. You're gonna get some form of scrutiny. But with the NBA social media, they take it to a next level for sure. Like I can understand where Westbrook is kind of having, it sounds like he's having mental health like kind of concerns right now with the amount of scrutiny that he's getting, especially when it's from your home base. Because like when he was in Oklahoma City, I know you guys are, tough on your guys, but you are very supportive. It's Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City in there, and then across the world, Thunder fans are very supportive. No matter what was said about Westbrook being Westbrook, all of that nonsense, OKC and Thunder fans had his back always.
Yes.
And this is not the case in LA. LA will turn on you quicker than everybody else around the world. That's how it's been for years. This is the same place that when Kobe and the Lakers were struggling in 2005, where we had Rudy Tomjanovich as the coach, we heard some boo birds, and then the next year when Kobe dropped in 81, they loved Kobe again. So they are very fickle in LA. So you're getting double the amount of scrutiny because you're not getting the support that you previously have. So of course he's gonna feel like the world is kind of closing in on him, and especially when the scrutiny goes to his kids and his wife and his family, that is just extreme. And I feel for Westbrook, but at the same time, I do understand where you're coming from, where he has to understand this is a part of the when he signed a contract to be in the NBA, he signed up for a lot of this scrutiny, unfortunately. And that's just the way it is. And that's why KD has 141 burner accounts to respond to people. That's why LeBron, has his whole team and has really created this type of fan base that will always fight against anybody who says negativity about him. And Westbrook doesn't have all these things that these star players, but he's getting the same level of scrutiny of a LeBron James and KD. So it's kind of feeling like everything's closing in on him. So I feel for Westbrook 100% here.
That's a good point, that like his fans have turned on him now, because you're right. In OKC, like he got a lot of attention from the national media and everything because the team was good and everyone thought they should have won a title and stuff. And other teams were obviously ripping on him and stuff when he would fail and stuff. Thunder fans always supported him. Thunder fans never turned on Westbrook, even in a lot of stuff was his fault. There was some stuff that wasn't, that he got unfairly criticized for, but there were things that were certainly his fault. But Thunder fans are still like, nah, Westbrook's our guy. Like they would defend him to death. He goes to Houston. He got some criticism in Houston, but then he played well. And then you had the weird bubble stuff and everyone knew he was injured and everything. And I think that's when people like started to see like Harden forced Chris Paul out. And it was like, well, Harden wanted Westbrook. Like this is sort of Harden's fault that he's here. That's when Houston fans started to sort of turn against Harden.
Exactly.
And realized that maybe it's not like all on Westbrook. They still had their complaints with Westbrook, but Harden started to make his own bed there when it came to Houston. He goes to Washington. No one gave a shit about Washington. Washington fans don't even care about Washington. And then he, now he's in LA, and there were also no expectations in Washington either. He goes to LA. The expectations are very high. It is LeBron pulled for him. They had the meeting with Davis and everybody. Everybody seemed to be on board. The expectations are high, and like you said, Lakers fans, they don't give a shit. They're gonna turn if y'all ain't winning titles, like they're gonna boo anybody out there because that is the expectation when it comes to this. So yeah, now his own fans are turning on him, and he's not used to that. And I imagine even if like he's getting it from other people, it's like, all right, I still got my close knit people, like the people who I care about, which is my team, my city, my fan base. They care about me. They have my back. Now it's the team, the city, the fan base. They've turned on me because it's not just like fans. Like he's clearly clashing with Vogel. Like the coach, he doesn't have the sort of support of the coach right now. I don't know how it is in the locker room. I'm sure maybe they're saying good things and whatnot, but it seems like there's a disconnect with him and some of the players and front office and everything. Like he just seems like a man on an island out in Los Angeles. And he's not used to that. And I'm sure at this point, when you have been in some instances unjustly criticized all throughout your career, it's finally just it's gonna all get to you and it's all gonna come down on you. And I think it sucks because as a longtime Westbrook fan and someone who, as a basketball player, he has his flaws and stuff, but he gave me years of entertainment. And just on a human level, like it sucks for anybody to go through that. And so I hope whatever it might be, Westbrook can get it right somehow, mainly off the court. Like on the court, this is who he's going to be. And he played well against Houston, and they still lost because LeBron wasn't any good. And this is where it comes down to like, look, man, what do you want Russ to do? He actually played well. You guys still lost. Like now LeBron, he's got to take the criticism. And so I hope on a human level, he can just come to terms with stuff. And on a human level, I hope that people who are going after, like Skip Bayless, fuck him. Like he's going after family and everything. Like if you want to just criticize Westbrook, fine. Like you don't need to go after his wife and everything. You don't need to comment on them. But yeah, if you just want to, like, humans just don't need to go after his kids, don't need to go after his wife. If you want to keep it basketball, fine. Westbrook just has to accept and deal with that. Again, on a human level, when it comes to everybody turning on him and feeling like he's being weighed down and stuff, I hope he could just find peace with some of this stuff, because he's always given the attitude of like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care what anybody says. And that's like what's made him for better or worse. And now it's clearly just starting to get to him. And I hope he can just find peace with something, however that might be, whatever that might be, because as a basketball player, I love him. And as a human, I care about him. I care about any human on a human level. So
I think it's appropriate that we bring up this topic. How bad has Skip Bayless been since he separated from Stephen A. Smith? How bad has both of them been? Like, they were like the go-to for any sports analysis in the morning on ESPN when they were together on First Take, because they both have over-the-top personalities.
Yeah.
And I felt like, them going against another over-the-top personality balanced things out very well. Like, you knew Skip was gonna go in and hate on LeBron. You knew Stephen A was gonna go in and not be able to talk about anything besides basketball, but it worked very well with each other. But ever since they have separated, their grading personalities have come out and shined even more. And it's just like, man, I used to like really admire Stephen A. Smith, and I still can get entertainment out of him and his stick, but the way he treated Max Kellerman a lot on First Take just was really like, man, like, how can I root for this guy? How can I support this guy when he's like really like, this is a guy, Max Kellerman, who was successful in so many different fields, like boxing, like, Around the Horn, him, the original host of Around the Horn. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And he comes on to First Take, and you think you're gonna get the Max Kellerman, and then every single day Stephen A's telling him, you don't know anything about basketball, you shouldn't even be talking about basketball. And it's just like, like, how am I supposed to root for you? How am I supposed to support this show? I don't even want to watch it. And then you turn on the other channel, and yes, Shannon Sharp is entertaining as hell, but it's just like Skip gets older, and as he gets older, he gets worse and worse and worse. And like, this whole, Westbrook going with LeBron has just caused his vitriol towards LeBron, which has borderline been obsessive and borderline, I feel like I have to call the cops on certain shows of Undisputed, with how much he goes in on LeBron and tries to like verbally abuse him and his family, talking about his son and stuff and all that nonsense. It's just like, you're going to extreme. And now to hear about this stuff with Westbrook, it's just like, how is it not any like other analysts or people in media talking about how bad these two have gotten since they separated from each other?
They've lost the plot with this stuff. Like, they created this character, and I don't even know if it's a character at this point. Like, they created this persona, and then because they got the money they got and they got the attention they got because of it, because like I mean, I know at least Stephen A, like, he would do like halfway decent work when he was just like a Philly guy and
Yeah.
stuff. And then, he created this over the top persona, got a lot of attention for it. And so he's just continued to build that. And then Skip, same deal. And it's like, there just has to be a line when it comes to just yelling criticism and the personal pot shots you're taking at everybody, and then actually analyzing the game. And I think like Inside the NBA does a great job with this,
Yeah.
because like they ain't always going to give you the best analysis of all time, but like when they criticize people, it is just like jokes and fun, and you could just like have fun and banter with them. Even the players, like, they like doing those shows because they know a lot of it is just like banter and stuff. And then if Shaq's gonna call somebody, Shaq's had his beef with different people, but if they're gonna call somebody out, it's like, yeah, we can just like poke fun at that stuff and then kind of just go at each other. There's also respect level because those guys played in the NBA, and
Yeah.
Skip and Stephen A didn't. And so people are just going to be like, well, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, we have no respect for you because you were just going over the top with this shit. You're taking personal shots and you have nothing to add to the conversation. I can't say that I watch these shows. I didn't even when they were together. I see the clips online. Some of it entertains me and
Me
pops
too.
me. So like I'm probably guilty of like feeding into it a little bit because I'm like, haha. So you see what Stephen A did? Like, what a lunatic. Skip Bayless, what a lunatic and stuff. And like I just ignore it. But yeah, man, I wish that like just in general this stuff what was better and it wasn't so much just like narrative driven, and it was more because there's a lot of good stuff when it comes to NBA, when it comes to advanced stats and everything, where you can drive the narrative with stats and actually analyze and make points without just screaming at the top of your lungs and throwing shots at family members, or just making the same, like, okay, LeBron missed this shot, like he's a choker, he's a choker. Like, okay, like let's analyze this and like really be real about it, and not just, hey, he missed this shot in a regular season game type of thing. Like, does
Yeah.
this really matter type of thing.
there's no objectivity, it seems like,
Right.
with especially with Skip when it comes to LeBron. Like, yeah,
Oh, none.
he will have the times where he says something good about LeBron, but it's immediately followed up by the bad. It's always immediately followed up, and it's just like we don't get any type, like you said, any type of real analyzing of the game, of the players. They spend most of their time talking about like the Lakers when it's about basketball, and we're not a good team right now. So it's just like, why are we the talking point? Why can't we talk about, is the Warriors going to be healthy enough by the time we get to the playoffs? Is the Phoenix Suns going to be healthy enough by the time we get to the playoffs? The East is just a logjam of teams that are kind of on the same level as each other, where we don't know who's going to come out. There's a lot of interesting storylines without trying to abuse and like talk down to people that have nothing to do with the game. Like, why is Westbrook's wife and kids being brought into anything? I just don't understand it. And I want to go back to the days of cold pizza. I want to go back to Woody and Skip, because that was another over the top personality, but it wasn't so much driven on like basketball or football, where like it's not even about analyzing the game. It's about which player are we gonna target. That's what is kind of become now
Yeah.
with these morning shows. And that's why I like Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp says ridiculous things, but like you said, he's kind of like inside the NBA on Undisputed, where he has a respect because he was a professional athlete. He says a lot of funny things, but he always keeps it about the game. He goes over the top with his praise of LeBron, and it's like, yeah, you kind of need that counterbalance for how anti-LeBron Skip Bayless is, but even that becomes kind of a caricature, and you kind of go away from what Shannon Sharp is really good at, which is using his humor to analyze the game, whether it be basketball or football. I think he's very good at both, but you have to kind of go over the top with the praise of LeBron, because Skip is always going to bring LeBron up, even when it's not even about LeBron. It could be about football, and he'll bring up LeBron. Like, it's kind of ridiculous at this point. And then when they talk about football, you got Shannon being the anti-Tom Brady, so you can't even get a break when it's not about basketball. It's kind of crazy, and I hope that people appreciate FMC, because this is where you can get the quality analysis on not only the game, but on these analysts that they call themselves. We will critique them. How about that?
Let's talk about a game. The Nets and the Sixers last night was a big game. A lot of hype surrounding it. Can't say it lived up to the hype because it was a blowout, but if you want to talk about narratives and stuff, it certainly lived up to that. You mentioned that the East is a logjam. I don't know how to feel about the Nets. I still don't like, until Ben Simmons is there. I don't know what that team overall is going to look like, because they're just going to play a different way when Ben Simmons is there. I'll say this: fuck Kevin Durant. He's that dude. Like, he is that. If he stayed healthy, he probably would have won the MVP, because I think the Nets probably would have been like a top 3 seed. And I might give him the MVP anyway, because that team fell off a cliff without him. And now he's
True.
back, and like they look like that team again. And like the honeymoon phase was always going to end with the Sixers. I didn't think it was going to flame out like quite like this, the way it did. And I'm sure they'll bounce back and everything. Man, Durant is just an absolute force. And Kyrie, and when he's on the court, which is only for away games, like, he is obviously a great basketball player as well. They might be an 8th seed. They might be the scariest 8th seed ever.
Ever.
If you're going to have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and then if Ben Simmons integrates the way I think they can integrate him, but like, just having Kevin Durant, that's going to make you a threat. And I would try to avoid that team at all costs if I'm one of these top seed. Give me Toronto, whatever. Like, try to get the 1 seed, because if they're in the play-in game, they're probably winning those play-in games.
I'm probably convinced that the Bulls have been losing as of late, because they did not want to be in that top. They don't want to be in that top 3 right now. Like, because the Nets right now are in 8th seed, but they're like 2 games out of the 7th seed. They're 5. I think the 6th seed might be out of reach, because kind of Cleveland is kind of in there with like Boston, and the Bulls kind of in that mix of 4 through 6. But man, like, I don't want to be any of those top 2 seeds. If I'm the
I don't
Bucks,
want to be 2. I don't want to be 2 because I think the Nets are gonna, if they get 8, I think they're beating Toronto.
They're beating Toronto for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. I think they're gonna probably finish at the 7th seed, and they'll beat whoever is the 8th seed. So I don't want to be in the top 2. I don't want to be in the top 2. I'd rather be the Sixers right now. The Sixers, it was a bad game for them, and Harden, excuse me. I'm mixing them up. Harden did not
Wow, SP3. Wow.
Harden did not look good last night, that's for sure. But I did like the game because the energy just felt like it was the playoffs, because these two teams kind of have an established rivalry now due to this whole trade, and just the energy and the chance for Ben Simmons on the bench. It was just a very fun game to watch at home.
Rod mentions the Heat. I've been very high on the Heat all season. Like, I had them as a sleeper team. I've said it. I think I said it last week. Like, they are underrated, even though they're a top 2 seed right now. I really like Miami. I think Miami is probably a very good matchup for Brooklyn as far as like what they can throw at them and everything. And I'm avoiding facing Kevin Durant in the playoffs. I'm just totally going to avoid that, because you think about Ben Simmons, I don't know how he integrates into this team. I said it when the trade happened, like, I like the fit, because in Philadelphia, that team was very flawed, but one of their biggest flaws was like they just never had a creator playmaker off of Simmons. He was their best ball handler, but he couldn't create his own shot. And so your crunch time offense is Ben Simmons trying to create something where nobody's worried about him shooting, or Joel Embiid trying to create something, and like post guys just don't always have the best. It's tough for them to create in the playoffs. Like, it is very much an ISO guard heavy game, especially crunch time in the playoffs. So like that team was just flawed in how they were constructed. Ben Simmons next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, like, he doesn't need to have the ball in his hands. And if he does, like, he can get to the rim easier because they got the spacing with those guys. So it's a scary thing with Ben Simmons out there on that team. And you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie has his flaws as a basketball player, his flaws as his views on things, but his flaws certainly as a basketball player as well. But man, that dude is a killer on the court, like an absolute, like, he's a bucket. And I realize that's not great analysis, but like, he can get to the rim at will. His handle is like top 3 in the league. He can get a shot off from anywhere. He's obviously a big time shot maker. And you have Kevin Durant, who I think is the best offensive player in the league, and might at this point be the best player in the league. It's him or Giannis, I think. But like, those guys, they're killers, man. And I do not want to face them. Even Miami, where they can throw different guys at them. Like, they have Bam, they have PJ, like even Kyle Lowry will D up hard, and obviously Jimmy Butler. Like, they have the defensive weapons to throw at these guys. I don't want to see that team, especially if I've worked this hard for a 1 seed or a 2 seed. I don't want to see that team in the first rounds.
No, because there's I feel like very confident about 2 teams being able to beat Miami, and that's the Nets and the Bucks. I feel like those are the teams that are currently constructed that can beat Miami, in a 7-game series. Every other team, I feel like they have enough defensive, matchups that they can kind of capitalize on. They got their scoring with Jimmy, who goes up from like a 85 to like a 95 in the playoffs. So he's going to give them buckets as well. So I feel very confident in them against any other team in a 7-game series, except for those 2. But as far as like the Nets, they got 15 games left. What do you think their record's going to be in these last 15 games?
I mean, how many are at home and how many? Let me look sort of at their schedule.
Yeah, let's look at their schedule.
Like, I think they're going to play. I think they're going to try to get the best seed possible, I imagine.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is going to come back at some point, and so that throws sort of a wrench, because they're going to have to integrate him, and we're going to just see how that has to fit. Like, they got the Knicks next. That's most likely
that's a W.
It's at home. I mean, it wouldn't matter if it was home or the road. Kyrie couldn't play in that game because it's New York. But like Kevin Durant, the Knicks are playing better. Bless them. Like, they finally figured out, like, hey, maybe we should give RJ Barrett the ball a decent amount of time, and we can win some games. Like the Knicks are playing a little bit better, but like the Nets should beat the Knicks. If ESPN would work correctly, they hear us bashing their talent and like, oh,
Exactly.
it's not gonna work now.
They're like, these guys are talking about Stephen A. We're not gonna allow them on here.
Their schedule's not too rough, honestly. So they got the Knicks, the Magic, Dallas, Portland. Like they're going 3-1 in that stretch, I would imagine. Even if maybe they slip and lose a game, 3-1 is probably that stretch. Utah, Memphis, Miami, Charlotte, Detroit, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Houston, New York, Cleveland, Indiana. It's not a terrible stretch. So 15 games, I think like 10-5 minimum.
That was exactly what I was thinking as well. Like I think they're 10-5. They'll take a couple of losses here and there, but I can see them, finishing out with 44 wins for the season, being probably the 7th seed because Toronto, regardless of if they finish 7th or 8th, I think they're beating Toronto. So yeah, I think the Nets are going to be in a pretty good position. And if it ended today, they would be versing the Bucks in the first round. And oh my, would that be the must-watch series of the first round?
The East is going to be so fun in the first round. I was telling my friend that if everyone's healthy, and I know that's a huge caveat because like everyone is not always healthy, especially this season. It seems like everybody's just got major injuries across the board. But like this is shaping up to be one of the best playoffs ever. Because a lot of times in the playoffs, it'll be like very top team heavy. It's like, okay, like let's just get out of the first round. The second round is when everything like really begins because you can differentiate. There's like 1, 2, 3 teams that have like just separated themselves from the pack, and the first round just doesn't matter. We know they're just going to blow by these teams, and it just doesn't matter. This season, like in both conferences, it's very possible. And you look at even the West. It's possible if the Clippers get George and Kawhi back, like that's going to be a tough out for potentially Memphis or Golden State in the first round. So it's so like 1 through 8 in both conferences are just going to be very, very tough. I don't feel confident about any team going into any matchup where I'm like, yeah, 100% they're winning. Maybe the Suns, if they end up drawing like the Timberwolves in the first round, like I'd feel pretty confident in the Suns winning that. But even if they don't have Chris Paul, like even that's sort of like, I don't know, maybe
it's up there. Yeah,
like across the board though, like health is going to play a big thing about it because you're like if Draymond's not back, if Kawhi and PG are back, who else is sort of missing? Like I assume Simmons is going to be playing, but like Lowry has had some issues all season. Like they probably need him healthy. Chris Paul is obviously another big one. Like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. for the Nuggets. Like health is certainly going. And then if you want to throw the Lakers in there with Anthony Davis, like health is certainly going to be a factor in the playoffs. But if we have healthy rosters for the most part, man, this playoffs is going to be from game one, like from game one. I just have no idea.
Might be even a very interesting like play in, especially with like the West with like Timberwolves, Clippers, Lakers, Pelicans. If the Lakers can get Anthony Davis back, we don't know. Like that's why I am like I'm not holding out hope for the Lakers to get out of the play-in anymore. That's over and done with. But they kind of seem like they're firmly pat. No matter how many games they're losing, we're still keeping in that 9th seed. So if they are able to get Anthony Davis back with a couple of games left of the regular season, get into some type of rhythm, it's like you got a whole new season ahead of you when the play-in starts. Like all you have to do is not lose in those first 2 games, and then you have a 7-game series where you're going to be matched up against the Suns again, where you were up 2-1 when you did have a healthy Anthony Davis last season. So I wouldn't say it's out the realm of possibility that it could be a competitive series. I don't think we're going to beat the Suns, but it will be competitive. It will be competitive if Anthony Davis can come back at some type of health. Memphis is a 2 seed. They're still new. Like I said before, I have belief in them. I think they're a dark horse in this Western Conference, but there's still a mystery on what they're gonna do in the playoffs. We know what John Morant's gonna do, but we don't know about the entire team. Warriors aren't healthy. Mavs and Nuggets kind of are in that same space, along with like the Utah Jazz. So yeah, the West and the East are going to be very fun games. I mean, I think the East is definitely going to have more than one lower seed that beats the top seed. That's the one thing I will say right now, especially if the playoffs started today, I would take the Celtics over the Bulls. I'm sorry, but the Celtics are hot right now. I would take them over a Bulls team that kind of is coming down to earth. Cavs and Sixers. I feel like the Cavs have the best team to match up defensively with Joel Embiid, with how many bigs that they have that they can throw out that man like that. Of course, Joel Embiid is going to get his. He's going to get 20 and 10 probably every game of that series. But when you have Jared Allen, who's a defensive beast, you got Mobley, you got a whole bunch of bigs you could throw at him. That's at least the different matchups where it's going to get him tired, either on the defensive end or the offensive end, where you're going to have that space capitalized. And then as far as like the top 2 seeds, I feel like that those are the only ones in the East that I'm confident. I think that the Heat and Bucks, regardless of, well, it depends on which one of those get the Nets. I think one of those teams are definitely going to get to the conference finals, though.
I would agree. The Nets are they're gonna shake things up, being an 8th seed or 7th seed with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons. Is you don't get many 7th, 8th seeds with those guys who are playing at this level. Simmons, again, question mark, but Durant, no question mark with him. Yeah. And they at least, unlike your team, like they at least kind of have like an identity of what they're going to do and have some sort of cohesion out there. They're just, it ain't much of that when it comes to the Lakers. And that's why there's a huge difference of like, oh, the Lakers, they don't really scare anybody as a bottom seed, while the Nets, especially after last night, they scare a lot of teams. And the Nets played the Celtics very hard too. The other night, like the Celtics needed like 50 from Tatum to win that game. And the Lakers, they're losing to Houston. They ain't scaring people.
We losing to Houston. We losing to the Spurs, man. We ain't scaring nobody. Everybody knows that even if we make it through the play-in, we're getting bounced in the first round. It is what it is. I told y'all last week, I've waved a white flag, and I'm ready for the 2022-2023 season to start.
Anything else from the NBA? Are you coming around on Jokic? I know they lost last night to the Warriors because it was the 3rd game in 4 nights. And for some reason, they put a nationally televised game on a back-to-back for the Nuggets. But don't do that, by the way. Like, we don't need national TV games on with teams coming off the back-to-back. Like, it doesn't make the product look as good. These guys are exhausted. Yeah. And again, 3rd and 4 nights for the Nuggets. Like, they just had nothing left in the tank. Great performance by the Warriors, but I wouldn't put too much stock into how the Nuggets kind of play, because I don't think a lot of people factor that in to this stuff unless it's explicitly told to them. They're just going to look at the box score and be like, oh, okay, they lost. They didn't seem good. When you realize the fatigue and the travel factor of all of this is like, oh yeah, you can understand why that game wasn't as good. But Jokic, man, that dude's a monster.
Yeah, they've been killing it the last couple of games. I think they won 9 out of 10 going into that last game. So I give him credit. He's okay. I'm gonna say now, as of this date on this episode of FMC, I would get him up to sorry guys. He's still at the 4. He's still 4.
Wow, what?
He's still 4.
What?
But there is more of a gap between Jokic and DeRozan than it was last week.
That's not praise.
I give you that. That's improvement. No, Jokic is one of the best players in the league. I've said this many of times. As far as the MVP candidates right now, I'm not going to give it to a 6 seed. I'm not going to give somebody who's a 6 seed. If he gets up into the top 4
if they get to West, 4th? They're only a game. They're 2 back of Utah of 4 in the loss column. If he gets to 4, they got the same amount of wins as the Sixers, by the way. The seeding thing isn't as big of a deal to me. I'm looking at just there's actually some like parity in the league now, and it's not just completely like, oh yeah, again, it's not top heavy like it has been. Like there's actual parity right now. They got the same amount of wins as the
Okay.
Sixers.
Okay, I will move him on this episode of FFC. He is up to third. He is third in my MVPs. I got
So okay, go ahead.
Embiid, John Morant, Jokic, Giannis, DeRozan.
All right. I love Ja. I probably have him below. I think it's Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and Ja. And that's no knock on Ja at all. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And Jokic is very quickly getting up there with
Yeah,
Embiid because he's been playing great basketball.
he has.
And I still think it's Embiid's to lose, and I don't think he will end up losing it. But man, Jokic he's putting on a clinic right now. He's so much more, and this has nothing to do with voting. And I like Embiid overall. Man, him just getting to the line 30 times a game, it's become a drudge to watch. It's
Yeah,
like,
it has.
oh, what are we doing?
It's
Just
it's kind of becoming like the hack of Embiid. Like he's getting to the
yeah.
line so much, and then he's playing with Harden. So if he's getting to the line like twice as many times as Harden, then you know there's an issue, and it really slows their games down a lot. Thankfully, he's a better foul shooter than Shaq ever was. So at least he's able to get these buckets from these free throws. But yeah, watching the games are not as exciting. I'd rather watch Jokic and the Nuggets because Jokic has more of a versatile game. He goes outside, he can hit threes. He does a little bit more for his team than Embiid does. But I just feel like Embiid has been the dominant force, so he's my favorite to win the MVP. I don't mind anyone who says Jokic is second because I've moved him up to third. I just feel like John Morant deserves this praise, and not enough people are talking about him in the MVP discussion. So I raise him higher because of that.
Fair. Let's go to, you didn't watch South Park this week. I'm
No.
not going to give a full on review. We'll talk more in depth about it next week when you've watched it, and then the previous episode or
Yes.
whatever next week's episode is as well. I will say it is certainly a throwback episode to where they don't focus on like headlines and stuff like current relevant events, which I appreciate. I enjoyed. They could have, and they do make some jokes that are, you see what they're saying. They could have really, I thought when I first saw, I was like, oh, this is where they're going with this. They could have certainly gone that way. They didn't. I appreciated that it was a very much a throwback episode. It focuses on the main four, like it's
Yeah.
them involved and stuff. So if you like them, you'll enjoy it. I thought it was a good, just nice little, almost a wholesome episode of South Park, which is weird to say, but I appreciated that it just wasn't hammering over the head with like, here's what's in the news today, and here's how we're gonna make it satire and funny type of thing. I like this stuff where it's just the boys having sort of adventures and getting into some nonsense on their own and learning lessons and things like that. It might be light on sort of jokes, but I think as a parent, you will appreciate it. So I look forward to talking about it more with you next week.
I'm looking forward to it. You're not the first person who told me like they got that wholesome feel or watching it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to watching this episode and seeing. And they needed this after last week's kind of talking about back to the Cold War and stuff. They needed kind of the change of pace this week.
Yeah, 100%. It is certainly a very much evergreen sort of episode. Like a lot of their episodes, especially recently, it's like if you watch this episode, I'm talking about like a past episode, if you watch one of the current event episodes, like 5 years from now, it's like it becomes nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember that point in time where this was happening. But if you don't understand, like if you weren't around for that time or whatever, it's just like, I don't get any of these references type of thing. This is an episode that 10 years from now, whatever, you can watch and it's like, it is all still very relevant of like, oh, okay, this still applies to me today. A person who's never seen an episode of South Park can just watch it and be like, oh, okay, this applies to me. Like, I get it. And again, 10 years from now, we'll be able to watch it, like, and who might not know anything about anything, be like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about here. I like the evergreen episodes of South Park that you can just watch and it's like, and it's not beating you over the head with like current event type of things to where it might not age that well. Like a lot of that Trump Garrison stuff just didn't age
No.
all that well. It was rough at the time, and now looking back, it's like, oh fuck, I can't. Largely because I didn't find those episodes to be super enjoyable. It's like it's tough to watch that now. It's like, oh fuck, I don't want to watch this and be reminded of this shit. This is an episode that's gonna very evergreen that anybody can pick up and just watch at any time. Be like, I get it, I understand it.
That's good though. They like I said, they need more of those kind of change of pace type of episodes. I enjoy when they talk about current events, but also I don't need to be reminded of them so much. So
yeah, and they do it very well because they are very current. It's just like you said, you don't need that thing every single week. Like you can just have these nice little evergreen, self-contained episodes to where I can throw this on and just 5 years from now and be like, ah, okay. Like this is still, it's even more relatable it'll be more relatable to me 5 years from now. It's
exactly.
Like, I like that stuff. So I thought it was good. And might be a bit one note for people, but man, I think you'll enjoy it. I look forward to diving into it more next week. Entourage. We are on episode 3 and episode 4 of season 1. We have the talk show and then the date night as sorry, I'm getting messages from Sean. So we have date night and talk show as the story progresses, and no pool scenes on these 2 episodes. Nobody.
I know, right? Yeah. They heard us last.
Yes,
they heard us. 18 years ago when this first came out, that there was too many pool scenes in those first 2 episodes. I forgot how like the story really doesn't kick off in season 1 until I think episode 5 or so, or at the end of this episode of episode 4, like the real story of the first season, which is like the next film that Vinny is going to do, really doesn't kick off in these first 3 episodes. So rewatching them was kind of like a nice change of pace. I remembered Justine being the Britney Spears meets Christina Aguilera of this world of Entourage. And I love how the common theme with Entourage is anyone who was like a 90s star has some type of story or connection with drama. You knew drama. Luke
Wilson's there hanging out with drama, and he's like, "Yeah, if your brother doesn't want to do it, then hit me up," and everything. The Jimmy Kimmel with like he dissed him, and that episode and Jimmy Kimmel and them coming to peace with that. I love when drama gets like a good moment, and of course that episode closes with like Turtle being like, "Yeah, good night," and drama taking a hit. He's like, "Great fucking night." It's nice when drama gets a feel good moment.
Absolutely, like that. Yo, drama's feel good moments are the highs of this whole entire season, series. Honestly, I told you, I was watching the head before we started doing this rewatch, and I got up to like season 3, and I'm just like, yo, anytime drama's happy, I'm happy. It doesn't matter that I've watched this before. Like, I still get that joy and that feel that I got when I was first watching the episode. I'm just like, man, I'm just happy for drama. Victory! Yes. Let's go, drama. Let's go. And so the Kimmel episode was fun for that. And then you had the juxtaposition where he starts off the episode of date night with the new girl, with the muscle bound girl, and then eventually she gets jealous and he has to break that off. So I love how drama just always seems to move on when it's like a female involved. He doesn't really take it that serious. He just go like, let me just drink and forget about that.
I think he wanted to like that girl, and then she got jealous, and then she became very like bossy and calling him names and stuff, and he's like, well, fuck that, like I ain't about that anymore. We get the introduction of Shauna, Vince's publicist. We get her, and we get Mrs. Ari for the first time in episode 4. We get to see Mrs. Ari. So more characters getting introduced.
I love we never learned her first name. Did we ever? I don't remember if we ever learned her first name.
I feel like at some point, I feel like at some point we do learn her name, and I don't remember it, so I'm not gonna say it because again I don't remember it. But she's just always Mrs. Ari, no matter what.
Mrs. Ari, Mrs. Go, whatever you want to call her. But just that brings out like a whole different side to Ari, which is very fun, and they explore it more in latter seasons. But I love the little moments that we got in Ari in these 2 episodes, especially him and Sarah Silverman. him trying to poach her, like, and he's like, she thinks he's trying to hit on her. Like, I go to Pilates with your wife. He was like, I'm not trying to hit on you. I'm trying to sign you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not trying to fuck you. I'm trying to represent you. Like,
I love Ari. Ari is always on the game, and he's banned from the Kimmel green room, so he uses her to get in. He's like, I'm just following her. I'm just following her.
And then so Samari Armstrong, she's Ari's assistant, and she starts to. So Eric is kind of fascinating in these episodes because we hear about Kristen in the first two episodes. We finally see Kristen, and he's going to break up and everything, and now they're going to have they have makeup sex or they have breakup sex.
Breakup sex.
But then Kristen finds out that Eric is going on a date, and she's not happy about it. And Eric is like, "You got to figure your shit out. Like, we had breakup sex. What do you want to do?" And then Ari is at the date, and so she's uncomfortable. She leaves, and then at the end of date night, Ari's like, "Hey, my sister's hot. I'm thinking about fucking her." And then Eric is just like she kind of hates you, but sure, like, go for it.
It's just like Ari's random thoughts are the best. But
yes,
yeah,
it is.
The E kind of this kind of like sets the tone for E, where he always has some type of lady trouble. It seems like throughout this series, and we haven't met his like main love interest. We'll meet that in season 2, but the whole Emily and Kristen, it was kind of just to establish that even though E is probably the one you would think doesn't get any girls, he's the one that always seems to have the girl trouble. So it was very interesting that they kind of set the tone with this whole story of this love triangle, or not really a love triangle because we never really see Kristen and Emily interact, so I can't even say it's a real love triangle, but it's just E kind of juggling with all the women of his life.
Yeah, and Vince even says, like, just slow it down, just go out and fuck somebody. Like, you don't need to like get tied to something and be on a date. Like, you just broke up with Kristen, and Eric's like, it's just, it's the first date. Like, there's nothing to it. And she's like, yeah, but it's a date. Like, you are trying to establish something. Just go be free, and again, just have sex, and don't be tied to anything. But yes, Eric is very much like he wants to be in love, and he does have girl issues, but he wants somebody, he wants that partner. And Vince is just like, yeah, we see it at the end of episode 4 where Vince is just like, hanging out with the guys, and then some girl comes up, and Vince is like, all right, see you guys later, and do this. Sarah Foster is in episode 3, and they have sex in the back room or whatever, and which is said on Jimmy Kimmel's show, which I don't know if that's ever happened in real life. And then we just never see her again.
No,
like,
no. Apparently, he had some past with her, and he never called, but she never called him. So they were kind of on the same page, and then just smashed in the green room. And when they're looking for Foster, and she's like, "Give me 5 minutes." I was like, I love how this Vince is just lollygagging, throwing his manhood all around in
slanging dick. Vince and Chase slanging his dick around. And it's like, I'm a big movie star. Did doing movies with Jessica Alba, doing high action movies, and so whatever. I don't know how it is to be a movie star. I imagine a few of them are kind of like that. Bless them. And then Turtle remains just kind of a hanger on. Him calling the male girl.
The male girl.
Yeah.
And then they only knew it was her when she doesn't wear any panties at date night. And they're like, oh, we recognize that ass.
Yeah.
And then I love it's E. E always has to be the one to be like, what are you thinking? Like, what is wrong with you?
Turtle is just trying, like, he realizes that Vince is a huge star and that Vince can get any of these girls, but he can't have all of these girls.
Exactly.
I mean, he tried hard enough, maybe, but like, can't have all of them. And so Turtle, I love when Vince is like, Justine is there and he's talking to her and everything, and Vince is just ignoring the fangirl. And when she walks out, and Turtle is just like, if Vince doesn't realize how special you are, and she's like, just save this bullshit. Like, I know what you're doing. Turtle's like, fuck.
And then immediately shows her personality when she says, oh, is that Jason Bateman?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is just great. Taking me back on this trip.
Women not depicted in the best light.
No.
Just wanting to, have sex with the stars and all this stuff.
It's not until season 2 that they have like an actual. Well, Shauna is a good like
Yeah.
He's a boss. He's one from the moment you see her on the show, she comes off like a boss and everything. And it's not until like season 2 that they give us more female characters that are kind of depicted in the right light. And even Emily, for the most part, is depicted in the right light. So I'll give her credit too.
Yeah, she's really the first. Mrs. Ari in her brief role, like you can tell she wears the pants on that one.
Yes.
He's like, there's a cab station right there. He's like, she's just like, the keys. What are we doing? You can take the damn cab.
I love Ari. Can you drop me off?
Yeah. Ari has this obviously this air of confidence where he's just like, I can do anything, do whatever I want. But around Mrs. Ari, like she's calling all the shots on that shit. Like she ain't taking nothing from
shutting
him.
it down. I love it every single time.
So we've got the Sherpa and the script next week, and Busey. Oh man, Gary Busey.
That's by far my favorite episode of season 1 is this Busey on the beach for Gary Busey, as well as one of Ari's first like famous rants. So I'm gonna enjoy rewatching this one. And then Sherpa has a special appearance, a special guest in it. So yes. who is the actual Sherpa? So there's 2 good episodes coming up.
Anything else, SB3? I'm gonna give you enough time to prep for Degrassi dudes here.
No, I think we covered everything. I'm gonna watch this week's South Park probably tonight or tomorrow, so we could talk about that next week. Of course, we'll have more NBA to talk, and of course, we'll have more dad discussions. That's the MO, which you can expect from FMC.
I'm gonna have to delete the dad discussions because I'm very, very concerned that EP is gonna be like, "You're not doing that." And you're like, "Okay, all right."
Don't worry.
This episode's gonna get pulled immediately.
I'm gonna be here for the dad discussions, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry.
I'm just not gonna say anything anymore. Like, all right, I get it. Sorry, baby. All right.
Sorry. He's gonna turn into Ari Gold, and she's Mrs. Gold.
Don't mean to say anything about the kids. Like, sorry that SV3 is my dad therapist. I don't mean to bring it up on air. Talk to him private. Sorry, baby.
We'll talk to him private. We got you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, that's awesome. I can't wait to see Jeremy's tweets about him becoming Ari.
100%. I ain't tweeting nothing about this stuff. All right, like I'm not putting any of it out there because I'm not trying to get in trouble. I'm like deathly worried of like, oh man, I'm gonna be. It's like, nope, not saying nothing. Not mentioning anything. Nobody mentioned anything. Hope everybody has my back on this. Don't mention anything.
It's funny. My woman will actually be more likely to watch this than any of the other stuff. She hates when I talk about wrestling all the time. She actually likes this show. She likes this show and Degrassi Dudes because she's like, you actually can talk about something that's not wrestling and you don't have to watch anything before you do it. This is perfect for me. I like this.
That's how I'm gonna present it to her, pile driver. It's like dad therapy, and then like without going into any more detail, and just hope that she accepts that like, oh, we just have like discussions about like parenting and stuff. Exactly. And sometimes we use real life situations to get our parenting points across. All right, what do you want to do about this?
That's all.
SV3, let the people know where they can find you at.
Well, you'll find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Of course, there also is the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Go over, subscribe over there. We got our flagship podcast tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time with special guest Stephanie Hypes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have a special announcement about a new show for True Hill Heat as well. And then in like 15 minutes, I'll be back here on Degrassi Dudes. So you'll see this face a lot.
There you go. Right here, Degrassi Dudes. On Fightful Overbooked with SB3 and Steven Jensen. SB3 is everywhere. Show them some support. Everyone knows where I'm at. But keep supporting Fightful Overbooked. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We will talk to you guys next week.